Hi, this is Jay Piersdorf. About 2 years ago, I made a video about having wrist pain from using a horizontal mouse. And I had a couple of suggestions, and so I wanted to update those a little bit. I had some of you ask, isn't there a cheaper alternative? Because the ones we were quoting were pretty much about $100 or so. So I've got some that were around $25 to $27. And I thought they looked like they might also be in the same ergonomic category to solve the wrist pain problem. So for those of you that didn't catch that first video, I can link to it down in the list down below. But to save you some time, if you just want to recap real quickly, basically after using a computer mouse for more than 30 years, I was developing pain right here in my wrist whenever I would hold a mouse in the normal position. And so looking around at some of these solutions, some of those promised an ergonomic solution by keeping your hand in the handshake position rather than in the flat position like this. These, of course, are tilted on their side, so your hand as you use the mouse is more in this position instead of being flat like this. And I had great success with this. I still use a VerticalMouse, and I haven't had any more difficulties with wrist pain on that. So I wanted to update and kind of show you some of the new ones I've looked at to see if there is anything that is any better or any cheaper. So this is your standard mouse type. And this, of course, you've got adjustments for dot per inch on the how fast the speed tracking is. And this one has a number of buttons on the side over here. You can see now these, in my last review, I mentioned if you hold it like this, really what can you get to with your thumb? My thumb doesn't work that loosely, so to touch these buttons, I'm going to have to let go of the mouse. I can't stay in this position. I can hit one or two maybe from there, but I can't reach the other ones without letting go of the mouse and changing my hand position. So for me, that's not that practical. Plus, I'm trying to get rid of holding the mouse this way. I want to hold the mouse like this. So Logitech, makers of some fantastic mice, has made one like this. This is their vertical mouse, and if you look at this one, it has a different shape. It has two buttons here, and then this is the button that controls the dot per inch or the resolution of the mouse, and it has a standard mouse wheel and also the left and right buttons here. So this is not a bad mouse. I bought this and was pretty happy with this for a long time. And then the problem with it to me was, again, these buttons are not quite in the, normally these are keyed to hitting the forward and back button when you're browser, so forward or back. But again, I couldn't hit those without letting go with my hand. So they're not quite in the right position. I can hit the forward one, but I can't hit the back one without moving. And that could be just me. I don't want to say that's going to be the case for everybody. You're going to have to try some of these out and see how they feel in your hand to know if they're going to be right for you or not. But I think we're on the right track with a mouse that is this shape. So this gives you the handshake feel with your hand. And again, it's mostly comfortable, moves around. It's a great mouse. Now, the one that I had on the last review from Evoluent, and they make a similar type of mouse, which is this one here. And this one is, as you can see, is a little bit different shape. And these are hard to tell. If you look at the pictures online, it's kind of hard to see what the shape of these is. So I wanted to kind of show it to you here. On the bottom, you have a magnetic latch where you can replace the battery and store the USB connector. And you have an on-off switch as well. One AA battery. And it has 3 buttons. So you have your left and right mouse button. And then you also have a third button down here, which you can program with the software. And here is the button that controls the resolution of the mouse, how much sensitivity it controls that way. And then you also have the mouse wheel, which also has a mouse you can press down and is the mouse button as well. So, and 2 other buttons on the side over here. And this is where you would push the you would go forward or back. Now I really like this configuration because your thumb rests right here, and it's very easy to move your thumb up to hit the forward or down to hit the back browser button window. And also the thing that I liked about the Evoluent is this lip right here, which keeps your finger off the table. So it floats a little bit more as you hold this like this. So I find this really, really comfortable. This has still been my favorite mouse. I use this every day, multiple hours a day. So this is a wireless model. They also make it in with a wired connection. They make a couple different sizes. They make small, medium, and large. So depending on your hand size, this is a medium mouse. Seems to work for me. My hands are probably about average on that respect. Before we get too far along here, I did want to mention one other thing. No matter which mouse you get, you can get cases for these. For example, the Logitech mouse, if you do some traveling, the Logitech mouse fits in this. I take this with me on occasion, and fits in there like that. And then you can zip it closed. These are really handy. I find these very useful for traveling. Also, here's one for the M602 mouse. Fits in there like that. Clamshell, zip it closed. I'll put a link to these in the show notes down below. You can take a look at those. All right, so the ones that I was going to show you today, I had a couple different ones that I looked at on Amazon that looked like they might be ergonomic. And this one is made by Jellycomb. And this has, we've got the model that has the red accents on it as well. And you can see it is a vertical mouse. And this one was around $27, I think, a little bit more or less, depending on if you get them on sale. And this one has the same shape. And again, it has two buttons. This little button here controls the resolution of the mouse. This is your wheel and your wheel button, and left and right mouse button here as well. And then forward and backward browsing button as well. Now I did notice on this one that the buttons on the side here to control forward and back, I actually could reach those with my thumb without moving too much. These are in a better position, at least for my hand, so I could make those work, even though I didn't have to use the up and down movement. And everything else seemed to work fine. Didn't have a problem with this mouse at all. The resolution was effective, really, for 27 bucks. And this particular mouse also works with either Bluetooth or with wireless. It comes with a little dongle that you can connect in there as well. And it takes batteries. And this one takes, again, one AA battery. It has a spot for the connector in there. So really pretty nicely designed mouse. I only had one issue with it, is that when your mouse goes to sleep, say you walk away from your computer for a coffee break for 10 or 15 minutes, and they go to sleep, and you come back, and normally I could just move my mouse on the table, and it will wake up. But not this one. This one requires you to press one of the left or right mouse buttons to wake it up. So there's an extra press that I'm not used to making. The Logitechs don't do that. The Evoluent doesn't do that. All you have to do is just touch your mouse and it wakes up. But this one required a distinct press of the left or right mouse button. Not a big deal, but one extra movement I don't normally need to make. And take a little getting used to, because I don't have any other mice that operate in that fashion. So is it a deal breaker? Depends. And also I noticed the other mouse that I have for review, which is the Eirix, E-I-R-E-X, exhibited the same exact function. It did the same thing. So again, when it went to sleep, it wanted me to press the left mouse button before it would wake back up again. Why? Why do that? That seems crazy. Just let me move the mouse a fraction. Just by putting my hand on it, can you wake it up just from sensing the motion? I don't get that. I did notice that there were a lot of other mice that in this form factor that weren't made by, that had at least different manufacturers' names on them, and perhaps they're all identical. I suspect that they are, just depending on distributor puts their name on it. The other thing I didn't care for about this one is I thought the wheel is a little loose here. it seems to wiggle back and forth excessively. And it's not like the old Microsoft mice that you could scroll with the horizontal method. It doesn't do that. It just is loose. Here's the other one that I bought. And this is one from Eirix, E-I-R-I-X. And this one I got excited because when I looked on this, I'm like, look at that. It's got a thumb button where you could reach up and touch the buttons, or two buttons, and down and touch the other ones. So I got to thinking, well, that's exactly what the Evoluent has that I really, really like. I like the up button and the down button. And so this one appears to be very similar. And again, it's in the vertical mouse shape, so it's very comfortable in the hand, not to detract from it there. But it turns out that this bottom button is not programmable, and in fact, it only serves to turn the lights on. And you can turn this on. Right now it's on where when I press the button, it turns the lights on. But you also can set this to where it runs continuously. So you have a number of different options that you can do with the lights, just in case you wanted a multicolored mouse light on here. This mouse is rechargeable. This doesn't have replaceable batteries. I haven't found that to be an issue with any rechargeable mice. Certainly if you run the lights all the time, I would think that will run the battery down. Anyway, it does have those lights on it if you're interested. But for me, right here you have the left and the right mouse button. You have the mouse wheel at the top there. And that, again, you have your resolution there, so your dots per inch of resolution on the mouse. And this worked fine. I had no problem with this at all. In fact, both of these mice, just using them as mice to track Photoshop or to move things around, they both worked great. The fact that they worked, in adjustable resolution as a mouse was great. I didn't have any problem with those. It was perfect. So I didn't notice any difference in the function between the Evoluent, the Logitechs, or either of the two budget mice options. They all worked fine as mice. You could easily use them as your daily driver. Now, one other interesting thing about the Eirix is it came with a wrist rest. You notice that none of these mice have a place to rest your pinky. This one has a little bit of an indent to kind of hold it up there, a little scoop in this part for your pinky would go. But it also comes with this magnetic piece that attaches to the bottom like that. So now you have a wrist rest on there. We put this down, and you could, as you grab a hold of this, it cushions your wrist as you track. So if you're used to moving your whole hand, or maybe this would cause you to move your whole hand instead of flexing at the wrist. I'm not sure on that. I did try it both ways. I didn't find it particularly useful. I kept putting it on and taking it off. It's magnetic, so you can take it off easily. And it seemed like I didn't have a preference. It didn't make it more comfortable for me. In fact, you can see these little ridges on here, and probably because I was moving my wrist, but these ridges seemed to irritate a little bit. I kind of noticed I was getting sore on the heel of my hand here because I was rubbing against these ridges. Now, that's going to be something that's probably going to be different for everyone. I don't know. To give that a try. But anyway, it's removable if you don't like that mechanism. Again, this functioned fine as a mouse. Wheel, everything that controls. I thought it worked pretty well. It wasn't my favorite. I keep going back to the Evoluent because of where my thumb fits on these buttons, and I like the pinky rest right here. That seems to really make it more comfortable for me. I've got links to these in the show notes down below, so you can look these up and try them. You might, if you get them from Amazon, you've got 30 days to try these out, which is probably a good idea, to see if they fit your wrist and your comfort level. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. I can tell you both the Logitech and the Evoluent almost immediately cured my wrist pain. So they, I think just, that shape where your hand is in this position and the bones don't cross as you turn your wrist is really the solution. At least it was for me. So that might be something to try right away if you have wrist pain. This mouse does seem physically quite a bit larger than the smaller ones here, although I don't notice they fit differently. They all feel comfortable in my hand. The Logitech, if you look at my original review, I felt that because it doesn't have the pinky rest, that I had to make an effort to keep my hand on the mouse. It kept slipping off as it's very kind of cone-shaped here, and so I would fall off and then I would be on the desk. Where with the Evoluent, I could stay on the mouse because of the slot to hold my thumb and the pinky rest like that. So I did very little actually dragging around on the mouse mat itself, but stayed primarily on the mouse. Okay, so there you go. There's a brief look at those. Again, the Evoluent over here is about $115 at the time of this video, and the Logitech is about $92 right now, and the Jellycomb and the Eirix are right around the $25 to $27 mark, depending on the week that you buy them. So those are all probably good choices. Certainly, if you have wrist pain, all of these are going to help, in my opinion. I think you're going to find wrist pain relief. You just have to find one that works for you and is comfortable in your price bracket. All right, everybody. I hope that helps. Let me know in the comments if you like this video. Thanks again.